Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, on Belgia Beach on the left side of the map. At the top left, we have the Protoss player. In red it is...
There's his little zealot. There he is, spamming it up. And over at the right-hand side of the map, this guy has a lot of stage experience. He used to go by ForGG. And now he's trying to get the GG out of Sage for a second time. Now I want to talk real quick. I didn't get a chance to say this before because we went straight into a double proxy racks, but something that a lot of the people from Brood War would know, those of you that don't know, ForGG was very well known for his timing attacks. His nickname, his Brood War nickname was the Time Attacker. Like, that's how much he did strong timing attacks. That's how he was able to win a Star League, was he would do these amazing timing attacks. And for those of you who don't know what a timing attack is it's an attack where you center it around a certain time when your opponent is going to be weak, and you attack with as large a force as possible at a certain time. So for instance, if you are going to attack right before their first Colossus is out, that's a timing attack because you're hitting a timing when they haven't quite got the fruits of their teching yet. So that kind of thing. So Finn was very, very good at that in Brood War, and he just executed perfect timing attacks and defeated the top players using them. So curious to see if he's going to do something similar. And lets that probe in.
That was really, really stupid by Finn right there. He tried to scout his opponent with one of the SCVs, lowered the bunker in order to get the SCV out, and at the same time, Sage just sneaked one of his workers into the main base. So this is quite a nuisance now for the Terran player.
Yeah, almost killed that SCV. Also, actually, he might still get it. Oh, it's low on hit points. 7 HP left on that SCV. The Marine is going to kill the probe first, though. A valiant efforts, Mr. Probe, but alas, your sacrifice will have been in vain.
First blood for Finn, and he's going for a no-gas expansion. He already has one barracks and is right now just getting his command center.
Yeah. Well, I say his sacrifice was in vain, but actually he did scout and scouted the lack of gas, so he probably knows it's going to be an expansion build. Although last time he scouted something similar and it was a rush, so anyway, bunker going up for Finn. And I like this little trick there, putting an engineering bay to make sure that Sage cannot expand in response to his expansion.
That's actually kind of interesting that we see that in the PvT a lot more often lately. Originally, that was a tactic that you would use against Zerg in order to delay the expansion of the Zerg player, especially the 15 hatch. But lately, a lot of Terran players actually try to get that engineering bay up or nearly completion so that they can still cancel it against Protoss as well, to just make sure that the Protoss player will get his second base a lot later than the Terran player himself. So now the engineering base is about to get cancelled. Here we go. And the Nexus being built.
Immediately, yes indeed. And of course he didn't have vision of that area long enough, so doesn't know that Nexus is there. He can pretty much assume though, because there weren't a lot of units attacking the engineering bay, so he's like, he can know that there's not a lot of army there. He's relatively safe, especially with the bunker there. Here comes the Stalker to prod and poke and see what's there, sees the bunker.
We have Finn following up that expansion with 4 barracks, by the way, so he's not going for the usual 3, and he didn't get gas yet. We've seen a lot of Terran players just focus on getting a double refinery very early after they build their expansion if they want to be a little bit greedy, but the usual way how you do that is you just build 2 additional barracks so that you have at least 3 of them and start getting your gas. But the Terran player is actually just focusing on minerals right now. He has a lot of minerals, doesn't take a refinery, while the Protoss player, being on 2 bases himself, is now just getting a Twilight Council and additional gateways. Meanwhile, at least 1 refinery going down for Finn, the second one as well, so he can add add-ons to his barracks and get those combat shields and stim.
Yep, pretty normal stuff to go ahead and get those extra barracks and then double gas so we can start getting some tech as well. And he's going to start putting SCVs in those gas refineries very soon. So we're just going to see a bit of a macro game here, and
actually he's getting aggressive right now. He has a lot of Marines and he keeps continuing building Marines, so he's on 18.
Oh no!
And Sage doesn't have that many units.
And the Stalker not reacting very quickly, actually. Almost dies, but the Dark Shrine is going up. It's gonna the Dark Shrine is not going to be up in time to deal with this attack. Although I think Finn is probably just putting some pressure on. I don't think he's actually going to go up that ramp. That would be suicide. And actually, never mind, he is going to lose a lot of Marines.
But still, I'm no. Oh, nice. Finds actually a loophole. Still.
Wow. And so yeah, Finn actually just loses some Marines for free. A little bit careless there.
Another base being built by Finn right now. And does he have an engineering bay? I don't think so, to be honest. No, he doesn't. He's getting a second bunker.
Yeah,
that Dark Shrine will probably hit him pretty hard. On the other hand, we have Finn now with a complete wall off at his choke point. So even if there's a Dark Templar, he can just use the scan in order to kill it.
Yeah, exactly. But there's the Warp Prism like we saw Tassadar use.
So here we go. The Protoss player about to attack. Dark Shrine is about to finish. There's the proxy pylon. Now walking up the ramp, just trying to poke a little bit, having a look what's in for Finn, and we have 2 bunkers.
And Finn doesn't even really know this is right outside of his doorstep right now. He doesn't have vision of this, and he's going to be in trouble once this attack moves in. There's Dark Templar on the map. I wouldn't be surprised if he attacks the front and drops DTs at the back at the same time. Now Finn is tipped off. He does pull SCVs to repair those bunkers. That's exactly what he needed. Getting a 3rd bunker as well. The question is, will he be able to deal with the front and the DT drop at the back at the same time?
There are 3 DTs already in the Warp Prism. There we go. It is aiming for the main base of his opponent. At the same time, he's pushing the wall and trying to take down the first bunker. The force fields prevent the SCVs from repairing, but in the main base, the DTs are already aiming for the SCVs, and there is 1 engineering bay, but there are no missile turrets whatsoever, and this is going to be brutal.
Now, Finn does have 3 orbitals, though, so he's got a lot of scans, probably. He's going to use 1 scan to take out 1 DT. He's going to lose the reactor, but he's going to probably clean this up without too many casualties. He did escape with most of his SCVs beforehand. But an attack at the front at the same time!
And here comes the Protoss player once again, taking down that missile turret.
Wow.
And Finn is struggling right now. He has 20 supply more than his opponent, though. He is superior in terms of supply. He has 3 orbital commands, but he's running out of energy for those orbitals.
He has turrets up in his main, so he's probably going to be okay there. But he's got to worry about his natural still. Scan goes down, and the turret is still not finished over here. He's not going to finish that turret. He's going to have to use 1 more scan.
And there he has enough energy for the scan now, and he's using it immediately. And there's the DT being killed by the Bioforce. There are still Dark Templar in the main base of Finn, though. But with the turrets that have been built, he's kind of safe. Needs to repair that orbital command, though. 1 last Dark Templar in the main base of OGS, Finn, and Sage. Retreats with his army. He already built the Templar archive, so he's researching Storm, getting the +1 armor upgrade. And OGS Finn now with Marauders and Medivacs in the mix, getting Concussive Shell.
Now, I'm a little bit surprised, I gotta say, that Sage didn't expand while this was going on. He's had a lot of pressure being put on Finn. This was a good opportunity for him to expand. I guess he's teched instead, and gonna scan and take out that last DT. Nicely done.
I have to admit that Sage didn't do all that much damage. He only killed 8 workers. That's basically it. He was able to kill some buildings in the process, for example, those missile turrets. But that didn't do him all that much good, because basically he invested a lot into this tech. He had to build a Dark Shrine, which is very expensive in terms of gas. The Dark Templars as well. So I have to say, that attack basically failed. Finn did a good job defending.
Well, speaking of timing attacks, Finn does not want this game to go on too much longer. He just built, it looks like, 4 more barracks in his main. He is just going to go for a major attack off of 2 bases, basically, and just build up a ton of units and go for the kill. Storm is completed, though, I believe. So, he was researching Storm before, correct?
Yeah.
Can we check on? Yeah, so Storm is completed. So, actually 3 bases, because there's his 3rd base. Never mind. Forgot about that extra orbital.
Another Dark Templar bites the dust. We have Combat Shield coming up now for Finn, and his opponent is getting charged as well as the +1 attack upgrade after he finished researching the armor upgrade. And another scan. He's forcing a lot of scans. I give him that, but still in terms of gas, of course, this is not as productive. Here we go, a lot of force fields. Oh!
Wow.
What a beautiful storm. He's trapping all those units with the force fields, and he's just storming them afterwards. Impressive play by Sage, but will it be enough? Still, Finn is looking pretty good right now. There are only sentries being picked off by the Marauder Force, but now with the Archon in the mix, this is going to look grim for Finn. He needs to get more bio units. There are the first reinforcements streaming in, now taking down the Zealots, but the Protoss player is just throwing everything at the Terran player that he has in his arsenal.
Yeah, and I think, though, with the production that Finn has right now, he's definitely going to be able to hold this off. He's got something like 10 units he's making at once with all those barracks, some of them with reactors. And so he's going to be able to hold this off, but Sage is putting a lot of pressure on. And those storms were really, really nice earlier. You were correct about that.
At the same time, here's once again the Protoss player trying to take down the Terran forces. Nice storm forcing the bio units of Finn back. And another warp in the loop. Here we go. The Zealots are charging in. The Protoss players on 3 bases by now as well, of course. 107 supply for Sage, 134 for Finn. Constantly producing units now, trying to get as many Marauders and Marines as possible. Now using the SCVs as well, pulling them off the mineral line. And here we go again, killing everything in his path with a stim. He is in a really good position, just such a huge amount of damage per second.
And uses the Warp Prism to save the Archon, and a Zealot warps in some more over here. He's going to get some damage in the back of Finn's base, but Finn immediately pulls back some forces. He's going to be able to deal with that little attack fairly easily. And here's the thing, Finn is going for the counterattack as well while he cleans up his main. That is a huge force, and Sage has almost no units at home to deal with it. Desperately working in some Dark Templar. If he does not land perfect storms, he will lose his natural expansion with this attack.
He's not storming at all. He doesn't have the energy for it, losing that Immortal at the same time. Though we have some Dark Templars heading towards main base of Finn. Finn doing an excellent job right now, attacking Sage, putting a lot of pressure onto the Protoss player. Here's the first 2 storms, killing some of the Marauders, but it's not enough.
But also killing the Zealots at the same time. He's walking the Zealots through the storms and having to pull probes here. Finn is doing some major damage, and Sage's attack has been cleaned up in Finn's main as well. This is now not looking good for Sage.
Sage has a lot of minerals and gas banked up, but he doesn't have the production capabilities in order to get more units into the game. This is looking horrible for the Protoss player, but he's still able to take down a huge amount of Marauders, and that one Dark Templar is doing an excellent job as well.
Oh, but the reinforcements arrive for Finn.
There's a scan. The DT dies immediately, and I don't think that Sage has enough to stop this push, even though he has a lot of excess resources.
Yeah, Finn is just putting out so many units right now, and again, a timing attack. He attacked right when the 3rd base of Sage was going up and right when the Colossus tech was going up, so he was able to land right when Sage had not been able to make use of either of those yet, and Sage is going to lose his natural expansion, and he is in real danger right now of losing the game at any moment.
He's down to 14 army supply against 88 against 90. The Terran player is streaming to the main base of his opponent with all his units, and now Sage losing the last few Zealots that he's commanding. There's one more DT being scanned and killed, and even though the Terran army is really low on HP, doesn't make a difference
all those Marauders are on red. They could die with one storm, but he just hasn't been able to get any Templar out to storm with.
Wow.
The probe's actually killing these injured Marauders, but the fresh reinforcements are perfectly healthy, and they are more than willing to kill those probes in response.
Finn finishing off his opponent with 2-0. Sage will lose this game. He's on 2 bases right now. Finn so far didn't attack his 3rd. He actually doesn't know about it. He has no idea, but it doesn't matter. There's the GG, and Finn takes the series with 2-0.
Wow, and nicely played indeed by OGS Finn. Doing a really good job with keeping off, holding at bay the attacks. Doing a really good job of making sure that the DTs in his base didn't do very much damage. As you mentioned earlier, he only lost 8 SCVs and all of that. and lost a couple add-ons as well, but for the most part, just was really good at keeping track of those DTs and making sure they didn't do too much damage, and got to hand it to him for that.
What helped a lot was the third command center that you already mentioned. He had a lot of scans that he could use. Sage was at least able to force those scans, but still, with only 8 SCVs killed in the process, he didn't do a lot of damage to the economy of the Terran player, and quite a stellar defense by Finn, I have to admit. All those resources that Sage put into his tech, put into the DTs, the War Prism and everything, they weren't really worth it. He tried to put pressure onto the Terran player, but Finn reacted perfectly, and in the end managed to build up a Bioforce that Sage just couldn't fight against.
And I'm not terribly surprised either. I got to point out again, I keep going back to his Brood War past, but you know what? To play Brood War at the level that Finn was playing, you have to have ridiculous mechanics and multitasking. So managing that kind of a situation was actually something that Finn is kind of used to in a way from his past, and so really not surprised that a player of his caliber is able to execute that in StarCraft 2 as well. But, you know, like I was saying before, MVP took 2 or 3 seasons before he was able to dominate. ForGG, now OGS Finn, this is his first season. His first try at Code A, he's automatically made it in. He's made it to the round 2 of Code A. So very impressive play. Very impressive indeed. I'm really curious to see what he can pull out against the better players later on down the line. But we're going to take a quick break.
Yep.
We'll be back with one of our Swedes in just a minute.